Is it necessary to take out insurance on your vehicle? So what if you've bought cash versus finance? Okay, today in this episode, we're going to dive into the subject with my colleague, Eddie Machale. We're going to get into some scary stats, and we're also going to give you information that you need on how to choose the correct insurance company to protect you and your family's investment. Okay, so before we start discussing insurance, I'm going to give you some stats. There are 488 billion rand financed vehicles on South Africa's roads. Okay, 207 billion rand is uninsured. So this means customers that have taken finance through the bank and they haven't insured the vehicle, or if they've rather cancelled the insurance once they've left the showroom floor. So nearly 500 billion rand financed and 207 billion rand uninsured assets driving around on South Africa's roads. So I mean, it's so risky for everybody. Yeah. But before we get into that, how do you choose the correct company? Let's get into costs. Obviously, that's a factor why people sometimes decide to opt out. But when it comes to cost, what advice do you have for the viewers?
Sure. If almost half of our drivers on the road are not insured,
40%.
There's definitely a problem here. And what I'm thinking is the foundation. Obviously, on the day of the purchase, we did explain that there's excitement, and so some people, I figure, would actually not do proper budgeting, not do proper research. Obviously, at that stage, you buy in that vehicle and you're discussing with your salesperson and consider the installments, and the dealership obviously helps with insurance, and you even ignore doing your own research, checking other quotations with other insurance companies. There's too many questions that you need to ask at that stage.
Sorry to interrupt you there. Most of the clients, every single customer asks, how much is my installment? And almost nobody queries the insurance because it's an afterthought. Yeah. So, I mean, that's very important to make sure that you know what your insurance is also going to be. But when it comes to cost, how do you advise our customers when they buy vehicles from us to choose an insurance company?
At least get quotations, multiple quotations. You need to speak. It only costs you time. I mean, you need to speak to at least 5, 6 or more different companies, understand exactly what they're charging you, what are their reasons for their premiums. You need to ask as many questions at that stage, because you don't want to find yourself in a situation where you're one of 40% of drivers that's not insured.
40%.
No, you don't want to find yourself in that situation. So I believe we mostly lose it when signing the deal. We never consider the costs thoroughly. Maybe at that stage, you can even change your vehicle and buy something less or something that you can afford, and incorporate the insurance as well with you.
Of course. And just to touch on that, a lot of the consumers don't know. I mean, almost no consumer knows it, but when an insurance company is referred to you by the dealership, that insurance company pays the dealership a commission, a sign-up fee. Yeah. That's a known fact. If you didn't know, now you know.
That would mean you are sold to the insurance as business, and you don't want that. You don't want it.
100%. So you have to shop around 5 or 6 different insurance companies to get the premium that suits your pocket. But what is important here is I think the viewers need to pay attention to. You have your premium, and then you have your access. Yeah. So the access is the amount of money you have to pay when there's an incident. Some insurance companies give you a little bit of a higher premium with no access. So that means even if you hit a pothole and you damage your tire and your rim and you have to have a claim and it's only 6,000 rand, they'll pay for it.
They'll pay it, yeah.
There we go. But the moment that the access starts getting bigger, in order for you to keep your premium lower, that's when you're getting into a dangerous situation. So if you're 19 years old and you've got a Golf GTI and you've had your driver's license for 6 months, you are an experienced driver, your insurance premium can be in excess of 2,500 rand or 3,000 rand. So what most people do is they go and say, but I want it to be 2,000. So now to reduce the 1,000 rand worth of premium, they make the access, we see it daily, 40,000 Rand. So any incident under 40,000 Rand is not even looked at by the insurance company.
Yeah, you still have to cover it yourself. So the risk is not even minimized at all. You're just seeing a change of figures. It's either a higher access or a higher installment.
Yeah.
So
be careful.
You need to decide very carefully there. You need to check exactly what you're getting into.
And then read the fine print. So can you please dive into the fine print? Because people don't think of things that you're going to bring up now, and then they get caught off guard and, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's usually there, even on a phone call. Remember, most policies are done over a telephone. The insurance people are known to speak so fast. In most cases, you've been in a 25 minutes conversation. Yeah, and you don't even know what you've discussed. But they actually ask you all these questions, right? If you will be the only driver, driver driving that vehicle, they would need to check with you. If you have kids at home, your wife that maybe will be driving the vehicle, you need to find out if a friend of yours, a neighbor, is using the car, you're still covered. This is very important information that you need to ask before getting into the deal. Lucky for us, insurance is month to month.
Yes.
Usually your policy gets emailed to you immediately after you sign up with the insurance company. What you want to do is to sit down and go through the fine print. It will cost you a few minutes, but it will save you a lot of money.
Lots of times we get it where the excess is maybe 40% of the claim. 40% of the claim. So now we're talking, let's say for the sake of maths, on a 200,000 Rand car, it's 80,000 Rand is the excess. Yes. If a non-registered person drives the vehicle on the policy. So if you didn't put my son, granny, neighbor, and that neighbor is going to drive the car, but the neighbor behind your house drove the car, it's 40% access.
Good as the other person that's not insured then. Because then that 80,000 would have to come directly from your pocket.
Yeah.
Mind 100%. You, that time you would have paid premiums for about 2 to 3 years.
It's irrelevant. It's in the fine print.
Yeah.
So make sure you take at least a half an hour and read it. It's a lot of boring jargon, but read it. And if you're uncertain, ask questions. Just phone up the company and say, I'm not sure about this. This is my ID number or my policy number. Can you give me clarity? Okay, that's fine. And then fix it, whatever it is. Let's get into some of the stuff that determines your premium. So obviously your age.
Yep.
How long you've had your license.
Your driver's license. That's, remember, to the insurance. I know many guys would say to us, yeah, I've been driving for 5 years, but if you only got your license 2 months back, you're only a driver for 2 months.
You've been driving illegally for 5 years.
Yeah, so to the insurance, you're still a 2 months driver, regardless of the fact that you've been driving illegally for 5 years or 10 years.
Where you stay, the area?
Yeah, security.
Yeah, high risk, lower risk.
Yes.
So where you stay, the make and model, obviously, the price of the vehicle, any accident history. So if you're a regular claimer, you're going to pay a higher premium. Yeah, if you claim regularly, you need to get some driving lessons so that you don't bump your cars so often, and that will obviously reduce your installment. What else?
Yeah, remember the insurance also checks where is your car parked daily. So if at your office, remember some offices, yes.
Okay.
Some offices don't actually have parking for their employees. So you find that there's just the open field there and you park.
Which is a higher risk.
Yeah, so again, that can actually increase your premium. So this is some of the things that you need to look at when getting a quote.
And I think a very important subject to touch on is make sure you give the insurance company the true and correct information up front. So if the car doesn't sleep in a lock-up garage, tell them it doesn't sleep in a lock-up garage. Because if you say it does, and the car gets stolen, and the assessor comes to your house and says, how's it? Where's this lock-up garage? And then you start scratching your head, they're not going to pay your claim.
You just reminded me, if you're going to use that car for Uber, please let the insurance know as well.
It's business use. You know, I was dropping my friend in, you don't want to be in that situation.
No. And yeah, the insurance will always ask that you get a tracking device in your vehicle, because this increases chances of recovery as well if something happens to the vehicle. So
absolutely. I hope everybody enjoyed this informative session. I hope everybody on this video, not one of you, fall within the 40% uninsured vehicles on the road, especially if it's financed. Remember, that car still belongs to the bank. It's the bank's asset. And if you have a bump with the car or the car's written off, worst of all, it's written off, you're still liable for that payment every month. You owe the bank the money.
You can pay up to, 3, 5, 6 years.
We've got colleagues at work. Unfortunately, they didn't have insurance. I know of one colleague, he's been paying 36 months already. He's almost towards the end, but he doesn't have a car.
Paying for walking.
Paying for walking, yeah.
You don't
Pay
want
as
to
you
find
walk.
yourself-
Pay as you walk.
Pay as you walk.
So if you guys enjoyed this content and you found this information informative and it aids you to make a decision on how to choose an insurance company and whether to have insurance or not, please hit the like button as well as
And the subscribe button.
and ring the bell so that all our new content comes to you first via the notifications. Take care.